Flex your business with an American Express Business Gold Card. You'll earn 4 times membership rewards points on your top 2 eligible spending categories, like transit and electronics, each month, on up to $150K in combined purchases per year. Plus, you can now earn 3 times membership rewards points on flights and prepaid hotels booked on AmexTravel.com. Terms and points cap apply. Learn more at AmericanExpress.com/business-gold. Amex Business Gold, built for business by American Express.
This episode is brought to you by Amazon. Sometimes the most painful part of getting sick is the getting better part. Waiting on hold for an appointment, sitting in crowded waiting rooms, standing in line at the pharmacy, that's painful. Amazon One Medical and Amazon Pharmacy remove those painful parts of getting better with things like 24/7 virtual visits and prescriptions delivered to your door. Thanks to Amazon Pharmacy and Amazon One Medical, healthcare just got less painful.
It's amazing, isn't it? It's the ultimate 80s nostalgia. It's excellent.
Its nostalgia is annoying, but it does grab me.
It's a classic J.J. Abrams, isn't it? He just like goes, yeah, I'm going to do this, and this. And someone goes, oh, I'm not quite sure what they go together. I want to do this, and this. How's it going to end? Dunno, the alien's just going to fly off.
I really enjoyed it as a whole thing and watched it, but now listening to you guys talk about it, I'm doubting myself
but
now.
I liked it a lot, but I also like taking the piss out of it. It's one of those films, isn't it? It's good shit.
I do love that you get to see their film as well at the end. Like, their film is the best thing in it for me. It's really good. Hello everyone, welcome to Flixwatcher podcast. Today we have Ben.
Hi.
Lou.
Howdy.
And as always, Kobe.
Howdy, hi.
And we're here to review Super 8. Thank you, as always, to the mighty people for their mighty, mighty tunes. And thanks to Ben from Rockwood Audio for his awesome editing skills.
Please do remember to write a review and rate us on Apple Podcasts and anywhere you can do where you listen to the podcast, because it really does help us.
And you can join in the conversation with us on Twitter
at FlixWatcherPod and on Instagram
at Flixwatcher. Hello and welcome to this episode of Flixwatcher Podcast. Joining us remotely today we have Ben and Luke. If you could please say hello and tell our listeners a little bit more about who you are and what you do, please.
Hello, well, my name's Ben Meechan, and with me is my fellow sound designer Luke Gentry, and we are currently working in the British film industry as sound professionals, sound designers, effects editors, currently working on feature and high-end drama. We've just recently started our own breakaway kind of sound collective called Sona, sona.co.uk. And yeah, we've been working. I've been working within the film industry for about 18 years now, and Luke's probably close on to about 10, I think. Yeah. And yeah, we're professional sound designers. Worked on quite a few Hollywood films down to TV comedy, really. So quite a broad range of stuff. And yeah, I love it. It's great. It's a good job. Sitting in a dark room all day playing loud sound effects. It's good fun. So. But yeah, that's kind of us, and that's where we're at.
So obviously, careers in the arts are getting a bit of a bashing at the moment from the government in support. So just out of interest, how did you guys kind of get into it? And you know, if there's anything you could kind of say to people who are perhaps listening and it's something they want to get into and they've had their dreams crushed, what kind of advice, tips, or you know, anything you'd want to say to give them hope?
I think it's kind of, I came through it from through college, a music background really, and then into university studying a degree, which was similar to my college background. But a lot of people now, you could just go and start, and I think a lot of people have just been told to just go and do it, come out of college, get into it, start early, start running, start an apprenticeship. It is a really hard industry to get into. It's not especially from a sound point of view, it's not hugely diverse, which we're trying to do, especially over here in Britain. We're really working towards kind of opening it up and getting people from, you know, everywhere to kind of be in the industry. But it's from my point of view, it's a lot of hard work. It's kind of good to start young when you haven't got families, and if you haven't got a partner or a really understanding partner, helps because of lots of late nights and lots of hard graft. But the one thing is you could definitely be working in an industry that you love and you enjoy. So it definitely has the payoff on that. So for me, being older now, we're having kids, and ever being able to work on a film that my kids can watch now because they're slightly older, or just generally work on something that your mates can watch is always pretty cool. So
yeah, I'd say to add to that I guess when Ben started 1600 million years ago, it was a very different place to when I started, and it's different again now for when people are starting. Like, there is Twitter and there are lots of people out there talking about what they do, how they make their sound effects. These things didn't exist when we were coming through. Like, you had to join a team and learn from the ground up, and that still exists, and that's still really important. But there are resources out there that people should be, if they can't get outside because of COVID. There's so much stuff on the internet now that they could be learning, teaching, and sort of honing their skills before that opportunity does come, and it will come, I'm sure. They're spending a lot of money in the UK. We have a great setup here. Like, there's a lot of professionals here. There's a lot
going on, isn't there? There's a lot of like Disney and Netflix and stuff making a lot of content over here. So, but the thing is, the good thing about film doing what we do is you can go and study it, but funny enough, with what we're going to talk about in Super 8, you can get a camera, a group of kids can get a camera and go out there and make a film. Do you know what I mean? You can pick up a microphone, you learn about bad sound by, if you come back and it sounds crap, you do it differently the next time. It's kind of, you learn on the job. Yeah. It isn't rocket science, as love, so we do like to tell people it is, but it's the enjoyment and the fun, and you strive to be better, to do what you want to do, and you want to supply this thing that people can sit there and kind of, when they do a review on a podcast, they go, yeah, all round fives, that's amazing, that's really great, we all want that type of thing. So, but I think you just got to keep trying. If it's what you want to do, it's definitely, you just got to stick with it, and I think you'll be if you're good, you'll be successful. Yeah,
I do love the list of films you worked on. I'm sure this is only a small part of it as well, but things from like Attack the Block, smaller indie films, through to the Mission Impossible, and things like Les Mis, for example. That must have been an interesting one to work on from a sound perspective.
Yeah, that's it. That's one of the guys we worked with, Matt. He did the dialogue. Well, there wasn't a lot of dialogues, but he worked on that. It was I don't know whether I should say, but yeah, working with Tom Hooper was the biggest challenge, I think, as the director on that. So, but I won't go into that too much because but it's
we cut that bit out, right?
That was it. So essentially in Sona there were 5 of us. I had to count them, and so we've come together, and we're essentially are individuals, but we can be hired as a team if people are flush, which generally happens on the bigger films. You work as a team, so that's what we've done. So within our site, you can go on, you can see what we've worked on, and we all have different disciplines which come within, whether it be working on the straightforward sound effects, the Foley, or the dialogue. So. Yeah, it's good. There's a good range of stuff on there. A lot of my favourite films are kind of working on the Attack the Blocks, the kind of working with Joe Cornish, those kind of British, those films, those kind of, I've done quite a few Edgar Wright films. I've just finished
this list there. Scott Pilgrim.
Yeah.
I remember when, because we've known each other for like as long as 20 years.
Yeah, it must be, mate.
Oh my goodness.
But yeah, so you went to university with my school friends,
That's right.
And now you live next door to Emily and Nudsy.
Yeah,
for example, and I remember when Emily said, "Oh, Meechan's working on this film called Scott Pilgrim." I was like, "I just saw that last night. What's he doing exactly?" I was like, "So it's great to see. It's great to come to you, follow you, look at your IMDb just grow week by week." And I'm like, "Fucking hell, he's on some cool shit."
Yeah, Scott Pilgrim's a hell of a film. It was, I love that film. It's such a good film to work on.
You can't forget though that Ben also cut his teeth doing a BBC kids show called The Queen's Nose, which I loved. Yeah. I loved it so much that when I first met him, I had him sign a 50p piece.
Yeah, that's it. So, but that's
what The Queen's Nose.
Yeah, it's amazing, right?
Yeah, it's good. I used to do that in the evenings after making tea all day. I'd sit down and that's what they get you to do. So they're like, "Yeah, can you just track like this?" Meaning, like, to the sound for. So
that's one thing as well. Is you talk about like starting out before, and there is a lot of sort of squeezing it in time that's not your real job. You might be there from 9 till 5:30 to do the making teas and fetching sandwiches, in some cases buying things for other people, and then in the evenings you go, right, I'm going to actually do some sound stuff now. And then they come in the next day and they go, bloody hell, that was pretty good. And then, you hope that it gets picked up and you get pushed and pushed and pushed. And
it's learning on the job, isn't it? Really?
Yeah.
It's making that cup of tea as good as that you want to make the sound for the film, so that people notice you to do it. It's kind of that thing, and then just going through the motions. So
I wouldn't mind, but I don't drink tea, so it was a tough few years for me.
I was just going to say, well, should we segue to the film we're here to talk about?
Absolutely.
Let's do it.
We're here to talk about Super 8, which is your choice, Ben.
It was,
Can you tell us why you chose it and give us a synopsis in less than a minute?
Yeah, sure. Well, the reason I chose it was because I wanted to watch it again with my kids, because especially my oldest boy, because we've just got into kind of looking at, watching E.T., Jurassic Park, all those kind of Spielberg-y films. And I know it was J.J. Abrams, but it's a kind of real big nod to a lot of the films that we knew growing up and generally living life, that kind of early 80s feel and stuff. So I thought it'd be a really good one for me to watch with him. So that's why I wanted to do it. Super 8 is set in a small town in Iowa. How do you say that?
Idaho.
Iowa. That's the fella. It's set in a small town, shall we say, in America, back in the late 70s, 1979. And it follows a group of young school kids who are setting out to make a home movie or a film for a film competition. And on the night that they are shooting, they witness a train crash. And then the rest of the film follows these kids trying to find out why there was a train crash, including using the train crash for their film, and then watching everything unfold from there, really.
What were your thoughts? Let's go to yourself, Luke, first. Have you seen this before?
Yes, I have, yes. I saw it at the cinema. God, when did this even come out?
2011.
It's quite a while. But I did watch it recently, which is weird, actually. But it's something that I've watched recently and then just gone over again just to make sure I know my bits for this. But it's amazing, isn't it? It's the ultimate 80s nostalgia. It's excellent. And one thing I thought all the way through it was like, I was so amazed at Stranger Things. I thought it was the best thing that ever happened. And then I watched this again and thought, wait, hang on a second. This is just a huge rip. It's the biggest rip ever. And I know the whole premise is it's ripping off a rip of another rip. Yeah. And it's rips throughout the universe, but it is the original rip. Yeah, and I think it's brilliant.
Yeah, I think the thing is that because it's set in that time, isn't it? It's like I remember growing up in the 80s and it was all BMXs and hanging out with your mates and playing. And the fact that to have walkie-talkies to be able to call your mates and go out and play was like, I know these are I think they're high school kids, aren't they? So I was a lot younger in the 80s, but it's just that whole thing was just really cool. And that it was and I think I was trying to watching it with my eldest son, Billy, who's 10. I was trying to say, this was really cool back then. This is what we did for enjoyment. We rode our bikes, we talked on walkie-talkies, and of course now it's like all Fortnite and YouTube, isn't it? So it's so foreign to kind of say, oh, this is cool. So, and I think it's great, and it's like J.J. Abrams' take on it is great, isn't he? He tries to bring a kind of what they're doing, those kids. It's almost like he's making a bigger version of it, if you know what I mean, outside it, isn't he? So he's trying to make a home movie bigger and bigger.
Yeah, and that bit is so charming, isn't it? Like these kids are just trying to make a film. They're just trying, and you've got the really bossy director, and you've got the leading lady, and you've got the really dodgy leading man, and they're just kids, and you fall in love with all of them instantly. And the fact that they're like, right, we need to roll now because there's a train coming. You're like, oh, like you can, you fall in love with that bit. Like that's their real, that's their VFX budget.
That's it, production values.
Exactly. And then it explodes and they wish they were never there.
But you don't know what the film's in what direction it's going to go into until that bit, do you, really? You do think you're just kind of watching a kind of like, oh, is this like homage?
This is E.T. for a while, isn't it? This is a nice E.T. And then
it's going to be sweet, and then it all kind of changes, doesn't it? So, but it's cleverly done. I mean, personally, I'm not a massive fan of the old lens flares, which I know J.J. Abrams.
He just came in a few times. Just thought, what are you doing?
Yeah.
What are you doing?
I kind of know some of the secrets why they do it. Sometimes if ADR doesn't fit, which is when they replace the dialogue, he tends to whack a lens flare over the top so you don't notice anything out of sync. So it's a clever little VFX thing. So that's a bit of a spoiler, but it's become a bit of a
it's his trademark
thing.
isn't it?
Yeah. It is, isn't it? Yeah. So he makes good films, doesn't he? So that's proof of it. I really enjoyed it. I liked it. My son really enjoyed it because you have those Spielberg essence where you never really see anything right until the end, which is quite good. It keeps you guessing. The suspense is great. You never know what actually the thing is. You just hear it, and we obviously sound is a massive important thing for us. And again, it's a really, really good sounding film.
I'm glad your son enjoyed it because that's one of the things I wonder about. Obviously, now I watch 80s films and 60s, 70s and 60s films and film set in the 50s and enjoy it. But it's interesting that he resonated with that, even though it's like does he see it as like olden times and where's the iPhone, Dad? What's going on here? I don't understand. Or is he just like, this sounds really cool. I wish I was almost there.
Yeah, he really liked it because he's really into making films.
He makes his own films, doesn't he? His brother.
He makes his own films and he's like...
and they're good.
Yeah, I've just bought him Premiere Pro for his birthday. He's 10-year-old. So it's like, he's knocking out little films with his younger brother playing. Like, we've got the third season of The Mandalorian nearly in the bag at home. So, he really got it. At one stage, he did turn around to me and say, "Is this shot like it's the 80s?" And I think what he meant was like, is this the quality, of the actual footage and stuff? So, and which was interesting because it's not, because it's actually shot really well and it's big and stuff, but it did feel a bit, when I was watching it, I was like, oh yeah, it does look a bit dated now. And then you forget 2011, and if you watch obviously an Avenger, what was the one the Infinity Wars, they look like they're crystal, aren't they? They're so good now. And then you watch that, you kind of like, oh yeah, shit, this does look a bit dated now. That was my kind of thing. So
Helen, what are your thoughts on Super 8?
Yeah, so I saw this at the cinema, and oh god, I was massively disappointed with it. I have a few issues with this film. The main issue as I have is that it's about 3 films in one, and it doesn't quite decide what kind of film it wants. So I think it's a bit messy and a little bit sloppy. And I think the main thing for me, I'm really glad that your son enjoyed it, because I think to really enjoy this, I think with this film, it's a very fine line between kind of like homage and pastiche. And rewatching this, having watched Stranger Things is just so nearly a carbon copy that, and this is also so nearly E.T. but with a kind of different type of alien that I'm kind of a bit like, well, have you really kind of added anything new to it? So I think it probably is best enjoyed by someone who's not like watched E.T. or any of the films that it's kind of, imitating, ripping off, like any of those things. And then there's a couple of other things that don't upset it
for my son.
He shouldn't listen to this. We do swearing.
Right?
We'll not do the swears in this one. And like the whole thing about. So the alien's actually a really nice alien because he touches people and he just wants to get home like E.T. But also he kills people. Some people, he kills bad people. And then the other people he hangs upside down in a water tower. And then suddenly his spaceship is made up of bikes and cars, but then it turns into like a super spaceship. So those are a few things. I just liked, the thing that I liked the most about it is I really, really love the film that they were making. And I think when I watched it at the cinema, I was expecting it to be a bit more about the film that they were making, and potentially it could have been a bit more, because then there's also, it's a film about a film making it and their kids. And then there's this whole kind of thing about the relationship between his mum who died and then Elle Fanning. Her dad, who has got something to do with it. So there's this kind of like a big emotional drama thing in the background, set against the backdrop of an alien, set against we're making this kind of cutesy film thing. And I'm just a bit like, just make your mind up. Like, pick one, pick two, maybe.
Yeah.
And I was just a bit disappointed. I think it's a bit sloppy, and I think it's a bit long. But I do like Elle Fanning. I think she's great. I really enjoyed her. But there was a few bits in it I was just like, mate, this is shit.
Well, we just thought that,
did you say shit there?
I did, sorry, I did swear. It's a bit shit. I think it's a classic J.J. Abrams, isn't it? He just like goes, yeah, I'm going to do this, this, this and this. And someone goes, oh, I'm not quite sure what they go together. But I want to do this, 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 this and this. How's it going to end? Dunno, the alien's just going to fly off.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm gonna.
That was my biggest gripe. I don't know whether you remember the Simpsons episode where they introduced Poochie the dog. Do you remember that?
God, yeah,
Poochie the dog, and everyone hated him. And in the end, they just wrote him out. But it was like Poochie was from a different planet and he flew away. And it was like
That's
was
classic
basically
J.J.
the ending
Abrams,
of,
isn't it?
Yeah, that was Super 8. And I was like, what? Why is he in a water tower now? Oh, I don't care.
I did find that the end was too quick. I did find it, and I didn't even see the alien get on the ship. I thought it was going to cut to him down below, and he'd set it off, and he was like, "Oh shit, I forgot to get on it." You know what I mean? He was too busy, like, you know, with all the powers downstairs. But it's, I kind of, it's a bit of a romp, isn't it? But I imagine that the cut was probably at like 5 hours, and they had to get it down to like 90 minutes. You know? Yeah,
because there's also that cliche. You mentioned this before, that like the whole government thing as well, that just seems to go on forever. Like, goodies and baddies, and there's a lot of it you're interested in because you're trying to find out who's good, who's bad. But by the end of it, like, especially when it comes to Elle Fanning's dad, I'm just like, I just don't care. Like, as you mentioned before, I just don't care. I'm like, you could have ran her over with your forklift truck in the workplace or whatever he did. But he didn't, did he?
So the mom, no, he just didn't turn out.
He just didn't turn up. She took the shift. Exactly. Yeah. You just think, oh, really?
Yeah.
There's 2 hours I'll never get back. Meanwhile, where's the alien? Why is he in a water tower?
It's not a great alien either.
No.
It's just a bit of a non-alien.
From a sound point of view, we were talking about this as well, and the people that worked on this are really top of their field, and it did sound amazing, but the alien had a lot of voices.
Yeah.
It did the go 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 thing, and it did the thing, and it did the thing, and it did all the things. So you kind of go, oh, well, I don't know what it is now. Was that a bird in the woods? Was it a...
Yeah.
You know, I'm going to get slated for saying this, but it was just too many things. It wasn't this beautiful, concise T-Rex. It was sort of... it was a bit of a hodgepodge, and I guess that's sort of playing into your... feelings, Helen, about the general story, but
a lot of mixed things, wasn't it? Really, it's a lot of different and whether that's to throw you off, but the set piece stuff, like the thing in the garage when there's the attack on the police, that's great. Brilliant. That's really good. I mean, that's, you know, that bit is really great, and I do like the kind of bit where it's all gone carnage, and the baddies is the other government, and the rockets are all going off because of misfire and stuff like that. It's like War of the Worlds. Those kind of set pieces are quite fun.
But then there's like those little Rubik's Cube bits, and you're there's just too many little bits. Like, I forgot about that. Do you remember the Rubik's Cube thing?
Yeah, it's like the baddie out of Big Hero 6.
And you're like, like you say, it's kind of a lot of things.
It was like Big Hero 6, which is a great film.
I don't know which came first. I don't know who ripped off Richard on what with that.
Big Hero 6 came afterwards, but...
Yeah, I love Big Hero 6, but we're not here to talk about that.
I think my take on it is nostalgia is annoying, but it does grab me. I was a kid in the 80s riding on motorbikes in the summer with my friends, going like to find tadpoles and just running around, and anytime I see that, and just so Stranger Things... I kind of feel like manipulated, but at the same time, I'm aware it's happening, and I'm like, yeah, that's fine. It's good.
Yeah.
But, you know, E.T. did it, and it's...
Yeah, also the Goonies, and I don't like E.T. that much. But
mate, it's my
favourite. How can you like Stranger Things and like this if you can't like E.T.? It's like
it's a different story.
This is exactly the same film.
But
except the difference is the different parents. So one's not got a father, one's not got a mother. There's less corn in this, or is there corn? Yeah, there's less corn in this.
There's never a father in a Spielberg thing, because it relates back to him, doesn't it? And his dad left him, right. So there's always a strange father thing. Yeah, always an absent father in it. I know it's not Spielberg, but he was obviously quite influential.
Well, it's produced by
a Spielberg blueprint.
Yes, definitely.
Spielberg, Richard Donner. If you look at the Goonies as well.
Yeah.
But no, I was kind of fine. I didn't think it's anything super special. I enjoyed watching it because it did hark back to the films I watched when I was younger, and the same feelings happened when I rewatched it this time, which was the second time watching it. Wasn't blown away by it. It's one of those things where I just kind of enjoyed it. You have to kind of take your mind out a bit. Because I think once you start thinking about what's happening, then it doesn't really tie together, as you guys have said, with the aliens' different voices or the different kind of subplots going on, which resolve in a way or not, satisfactorily or not. And I think ultimately it's kind of J. Abrams all over. I think I've discussed this with many people, and I just think he's good at getting things on the screen. He's good at getting people behind ideas. But when you kind of leave it, you're kind of like, what was that exactly?
What did I just... Yeah.
He needs a good editor.
No more so than The Rise of Skywalker. I think his best film's actually the Force Awakens. But then a lot of people complain about it being pretty much following on, stealing everything from the previous Star Wars, which I'm like, it was better than the prequels. So for me, I was happy with it. But the Rise of Skywalker, for example, is J.J. Abrams down to 11.
So I was going to say Cloverfield is probably his best film, I think, isn't it?
Did he direct Cloverfield, or is it just written?
Let me just check.
He and I really like his Mission as well.
Yes, yeah.
He did Star Trek, right? He sort of reimagined Star Trek.
Yeah,
that was amazing.
That's
the
lens.
was a bit like
Star Trek was good. I enjoyed that.
Star Trek was good.
So, the lens flare-tastic in Star Trek.
It was
really.
Yeah.
God, it's.
But they're in space, so that just happens more. So
off the camera.
Yeah,
the stars
exactly.
bounce
Yeah.
off the camera.
I could justify that.
But it's funny. The group of kids in this, I actually prefer them to the group of kids in. I thought the blonde-haired kid in this is really cool. He's a funnier character, isn't he? The one who plays the zombie and stuff.
Yeah.
It's like, and when you watch that film at the end that they made, it's brilliant. I'm just like, I'm in bits. I love that one. So
definitely.
I think he's done well getting the kids together and riding on the bikes and not being in the cars as supposed to be. And there's that kind of child, preteen, teen romance, which is I kind of like that bit of the storyline. But again, it was like kind of wedged in there. No, you don't get it, do you? I invited her because I wanted her to be with me. I was like, well, where's this come from?
Well, a director falling in love with his leading lady, mate. That's what it is, I reckon. So.
I do love that you get to see their film as well at the end. Like, their film is the best thing in it for me. It's really good. The shock ending.
Yeah. I think I like the... I was trying to explain to my boy was my boy. He was about he was like the sleepy guy in the car, and it's like he wasn't sleepy, he was stoned. So trying to explain to like the stoned guy.
Right, yeah, so, drug references.
The drug references are always quite difficult. So it'd have been better if he'd have just been working really hard at the photo developing place, and then he could have been sleepy.
That's true.
Yeah, he was working on the photos all night and stuff. So
best train crash in a film in a long time, though. Yeah. I'm going to say no one's touched that train crash. It went on for about 3 reels, but it was fucking good.
It's the loudest train crash, isn't it? So it's very loud.
I raised you the train crash in The Fugitive, which is...
Dr. Richard Kimball.
Yeah, but it doesn't go boing.
Yeah,
I'm getting all soundy again.
It was excessive, wasn't it? I don't know if it would happen like that, is the thing.
And also the chap in the car would not have survived that if he was meant to have like driven into it.
Yeah.
Truman. Yeah, and he's just got a bloody
What's his name? It's Mayor Royce.
No, it's Clarence Royce you're thinking of.
Yeah.
Hold on.
It is Royce.
Is it Royce? Mayor Royce.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's I think that's that kind of thing where they're not afraid to show that he was all, that kind of scary bit. He's all cut up and he's bleeding and stuff. That's kind of, for kids to watch that, for a 10-year-old, a 10, 12-year-old, that's quite scary. That's pretty graphic. So I don't mind that they're not afraid to put those kind of things in their films, like Spielberg and Abrams.
I guess he goes to a lot of certification, doesn't he? I'm sure there's a lot of bit that hit the cutting room floor that wasn't quite cricket. But...
Yeah, and it's either that he gives them the story before at school, they had a scene where he explains all about it, or they just do it after, which is more dramatic, isn't it, really? So, but they did well to dodge getting hit by any of the metal from the train.
I thought so, yeah. Definitely. Yeah.
Any of the metal or any of the Rubik's Cube bits, which weren't Rubik's Cubes.
Yeah, those Rubik's Cube bits. It's a loud film, but I kind of now I really enjoyed it as a whole thing and watched it. But now listening to you guys talk about it, I'm doubting myself.
But
now.
I liked it a lot, but I also like taking the piss out of it. It's one of those films, isn't it? It's good shit.
Yeah. But I suppose I like that. It's like his Star Wars. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
But I like taking the piss out of it as well. Yeah. I like people taking it and going, I like it because of that.
Yeah,
I like people taking the piss out of The Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah.
I think that was an abomination. But the
Normally in these kind of films, there's like a bully or something, isn't there? Or like
that's true.
And there wasn't one.
The alien's the bully.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
no, the bully was the guy. Is the army guy.
Oh yeah,
with the baddie. Yeah, that's it. There's always an authority thing. It's like kind of Close Encounters and E.T. again, isn't it? It's always the government person who's
someone
bad,
with a chip in his shoulder.
Yeah, exactly. So he's the baddie, isn't he? That guy. He's kind of men all around it and stuff. So, but
before we go to scores, guys, what's your favourite like 80s kids club, boys club films like this where you really lean back into it?
Oh, I'm an E.T. or Goonies man, I think, personally.
Yeah, do you know, it's going to sound like a proper cop-out, but yeah, E.T. It's just...
Yeah.
It's so good. Yeah. It's got a cross-dressing, ice cream eating alien in it.
Yeah.
The best bit is when they're in the kitchen with the dog. All that stuff's great. Everything else I don't care about.
Yeah.
Don't care about the bike or don't care about him leaving. It's just him and the dog hanging out in the kitchen.
Just drunk with the dog.
Yeah.
But I used to really like BMX Bandits, and then I watched it recently. I was like, why did I even like this film?
Is it bad, is it?
Oh, mate, it's awful. Yeah, it's awful.
I was going to say BMX Bandits and Flight and Navigator.
See, that's a good film.
100% for me is E.T. and I still watch it now and I still think it's brilliant. Like the connection that E.T. has with Elliot just makes me cry all the time, and Drew Barrymore's brilliant in it, and you just kind of feel everything that they feel, and it's just like this really wonderful relationship with it, and it's really funny as well. There's loads of like really funny bits, like when he gets drunk and Elliot gets drunk at school, and like when he sees like Yoda walking through the street and he's doing his fancy dress, and then I also really love like Flight of the Navigator as well. And Batteries Not Included, that used to make me cry.
Oh, that was good.
Oh, that's good.
I'm not a huge fan of the Goonies. I think it's a bit overrated, and it's not really.
I'm a big Goonies fan. I think BMX Bandits was a touch point because I just used to, because I had BMXs and I used to ride off the curb and go whee.
Me too. Yeah, exactly.
But now you're making me think I'm never going to revisit that ever again.
And Labyrinth as well. That was a good one for Bowie and the songs.
It was, but I don't class it as a boys' own one because I was thinking also things like Princess Bride could be thrown in there, but no, I didn't watch it in the 80s.
I love that film. That's a great film. Have you seen Princess Bride?
No.
Have you not?
No.
Andre the Giant.
Mate, 87. Born in 87. I'm just going to say that's my excuse.
Well, do check it out.
On repeat.
We've done an episode on it, so you should watch the film and then listen to the episode.
I definitely will. Yeah.
It was on Netflix. I don't know if it is anymore, but it's one of the films that randomly passed me by in the 80s, and I watched it because someone brought it to Flixwatcher, and I thought, damn it, if I had seen that in the 80s, I would have absolutely loved it.
Man,
well, great.
Do check it out.
Engaged, yes.
It's a really good film. So, isn't it Billy Crystal in it? He plays like dwarf ears, isn't he? Yeah.
Should we head to the scores, guys?
Let's do it.
Hello, folks. I'm Sam.
And I'm Martin.
And every week for the last 5 years, we've got together to talk about the musician Tom Waits.
He's a gravelly voice singer that sounded like he doused his vocal cords in bourbon and set fire to them with a cigarette and wrote such classic songs as Way Down in the Hole, Downtown Train, Jersey Girl.
He's also the gravelly-voiced actor from films such as The Ballad of Buster Scruggs and Seven Psychopaths, both of which, coincidentally, are on Netflix, and both of which Kobe and Helen have discussed here on Flixwatcher.
So make sure you check those episodes out, and when you have a little bit of a taste for the magic that is Tom Waits, why not head over to songbysongpodcast.com or search for Song by Song in your podcatcher of choice to listen to a little bit more about Tom Waits.
Welcome to the Flixwatcher scores. All of our scores are out of 5. You may have decimal places if you wish, and we will start with you, please, Ben, with your recommendability.
Recommendability. Depending on who I was recommending it to, I think. If I was good, like having watched it with my son, I think if I was going to recommend it to people to say watch with their kids, I think it would be quite high. So I'm going to go for about a 3.8.
Oh.
And mainly because we just discussed all those other films from the 80s, which I'd probably say watch those instead, I think. So watch E.T.
And I, personally, I would probably recommend most films to people just because, just go and watch it. Do you know what I mean? So it's hard for me to not get around a 4 or a 5.
Yeah.
but I'm going to say a 4 because it is a nostalgic little romp, and it's not going to change your life, but it's Sunday afternoon, it's raining, you can eat your body weight in popcorn.
Yeah.
Like, it's the perfect film for that. As Kobe said before, you're going to come out and not understand who you are anymore or what's gone on, but that doesn't matter.
Because it's Sunday afternoon.
Exactly, it's Sunday afternoon. So I'm going to give it probably an undeserved strong 4.
Oh, there you go.
I was going to one point which really annoyed me was when he's been looking at his that locket that his mum left him behind throughout the whole film, and then at the end he lets it go to join a spaceship, and I was just like,
but he does that to let the alien leave.
That was the missing piece.
Yeah,
Without that piece, that ship couldn't take off.
Is that what you thought? I thought he was just sending his mum. It was saying goodbye to his mum.
It was a double doodah, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It's what they call in the film industry, a double doodah, Ben.
I don't think it carried the emotional punch you thought it was.
No, I don't think so. Yeah, it was a shame, really.
He was saying goodbye. It's like, in E.T. with the flower.
Yeah.
It's just his arc, wasn't it?
I think so, yeah. So, yeah, I know what you mean, though. It was like he could have thrown anything up, couldn't he, really?
Yeah.
So, no, my belt would have gone and my pants would have come back.
The second one would have been good, though, just you in space.
Oh, I wouldn't have got stuck to
I
it.
thought you were attached to the outside of it at this point.
My belt came up. Sorry.
Helen?
So I am obviously probably the least enthused about this. I just think it's a bit scrappy and just a bit disappointing, really. It's got so much potential. I'm going to give it a 3. I think definitely, 10-year-olds are probably the annoying things that have annoyed me will blow over them.
Definitely,
and they probably have less of an association with E.T. and other things, and be sitting there going, well, this is just ripping off E.T., which is a bit like me. So they're probably less cynical and miserable about being their favourite 80s films being ripped off by someone who clearly needs a better editor and, someone just to tell him that, this doesn't make sense. So a 3.
Yeah, I don't mind people rehashing and re-editing and stealing things if it's done well. And this, it's just fun. Like I was saying, this is Saturday. It's late afternoon. It's a wet day outside. You can't go outside anyway. So put this on. Lots of popcorn, some comfort food, and you can talk over it as well. And that's
so true.
Actually, yeah.
And there's it's good for that. And I think it's definitely a film. There's definitely a space for films like that. In my life, at least, and this is one of them. So I'm happy to recommend it to people. I'll give it a 4. Repeat viewing score, Ben.
Again, judging it on my child, because this week they've watched Wayne's World 6 times in a row.
Oh, I'd love to watch Wayne's World 6 times.
Yeah, 6 times every night I've got home, and the two of them are watching that. But this, they haven't gone back to, so it's going to be, I think, generally now I get ruled by what they put on the telly, so I think it's going to be low again. It's going to be a 2, I think.
It's interesting they pulled up Wayne's World 6 times. That's really...
Yeah.
Wayne's World's not on Netflix, though, is it? Have you got it?
I think it's on Sky Cinema. So
okay.
I have to have everything for research, of course. So, if the HMRC asked, that's why. So.
Tax deductibles.
No, not at all. No, research.
So what was that? 2, was it, Ben?
Yeah, it was a 2, mate.
Luke, repeat viewing score.
Repeat viewing score it's a difficult one to answer because it's not very good, but it's perfect for that Sunday afternoon when it's raining. And we live in England, and there's loads of Sundays, and there's certainly loads of rain as well. So, it's going to come out again. And, maybe there'll be a situation where, like Ben, I get to enjoy it again with kids and with my kids, not just random kids. That would be super weird. So I think it's actually going to go up there for a little 4. Little 4. I'm going to go back.
Pushing it up.
Helen?
Yeah, I mean, if someone said, do you want to watch Super 8 or do you want to watch E.T., 100% I'd be there with E.T. all the time. It's quite long as well. It's 1 hour and 52 minutes, which...
But if someone said, I've not seen Super 8, do you want to watch it with me? And you had nothing else to do.
And it's raining.
Yeah.
And it's a Sunday.
And you got popcorn. And it's Sunday. Popcorn.
No.
But you can talk over it. And we'll
I don't know.
And we'll get a new editor in to recut it.
Can't we watch E.T.? I want to watch Wayne's World now. So all I've got in my head now is that I want to watch Wayne's World. I'm not gonna watch this again. It's one of those films, I saw it when it came out and I've not watched it since, and I watched it again and there wasn't really much like, oh yeah, or like surprised, like, oh yeah, actually I was a bit, in fact, even watching it the second time I was a bit like, oh, this is worse than I remembered. I don't know, it's just, I thought it was just a bit disappointing, I think, for me. A 1, sorry.
2.5. I'll watch it again. I wouldn't pay for it on DVD specifically. If someone said I want to watch it, do you want to watch it? I'd say yeah. If there's some, when kids have parties and stuff like that, and it's a good kind of film to get a gang of kids around, put them in front of you, like you say, with the popcorn, and I'd be one of the parents who kind of goes, yeah, I'll kind of side eye that, whilst
you're just planning your kids' birthday parties now. You're like, when's appropriate to get him watching this?
I wouldn't plan it around Super 8, but this is one where I'd happy if another parent who was less cinema savvy planned it around this. But yeah, fine.
You'd be okay going to that party. You'd be like, this is all right.
Because it's not your house. You don't have to. You just turn up. You don't have to clean up afterwards. So that's the benefit. You don't choose the film.
I'm not going. I'm going to the Ghostbusters party, mate. I'm not going to that party.
No, I'd host the Ghostbusters party.
You would.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Yeah, that'd be good.
See you there then.
Everyone loves Ghostbusters. Let's agree, like that's one we can agree on. Yeah,
100%.
Yeah, they haven't quite ruined that yet, have they? That's about to come out soon, isn't it? So let's see what happens there. That again is going to be lots of nostalgia and kind of kids and stuff. But yeah, no, everyone loves Ghostbusters, the original. So you watched it the year you were born, right, mate?
Yes, I've seen it, mate. I've seen it. Whilst I was born in the late 80s, I do watch shows posthumously.
Small screen score, Ben.
Again, kind of middle of it. It translated all right. It was good. Again, I kind of judge things on the small screen sonically sometimes, and I think it's around about a 3.5 for me.
Luke.
Yeah, I think. It's nice to go to the cinema to hear that scale of small and large and big and bang and boom. And this did sound better in the cinema, of course, but it does translate really well because, it rocks along. And I don't think it should be sort of written down for that. I think it translates pretty well. So I'm going to give it a 4.
Oh, okay.
Helen.
I'm also going to give it a 4. I mean, obviously it's been filmed to show on the cinema, but I think since Stranger Things, people have kind of accepted you can kind of experience it a bit more in your own home. I don't know. There was nothing about me that made me go, I preferred the cinema experience. So I think it does all right on small screen, especially if it's for kids. They're not going to realise, are they? Until they get a bit older and then they're like, oh.
I'm going to go for 5 here.
Kids are stupid. 5?
Yeah, I mean, as it's leaning into that nostalgia, any of those films we referenced, none of them I watched at the cinema. They all have been at home, at my friends' houses, with the comfort food and just kind of like laying around. So I don't associate them with the cinema so much. So I'm super happy with watching them. Yeah, at home. So now I've got a fancy TV than I had in the 80s, then that's all the better.
I'd hope so, mate.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Otherwise, we need to be having work.
Regressing. Engagement score, Ben.
I'm going to go for about a 4 because I was definitely engaged in it. I think we watched. Yeah, there was no. Again, you tell with kids sometimes they just drift off and stuff. I went to watch something recently with one of my kids, the new Abrams fan, the cartoon animation, and my youngest, I turned around at one stage and he was just doing a handstand in the middle of the Everyman Cinema in Barnet. So
that's not cheap cinema.
I know, mate.
How much does it cost me?
It's great on a Sunday morning. There's never anyone there, but it's there's definitely never anyone there now. But it's a 4. I was engaged through, so it definitely kept me going.
Yeah, I'm going to drop my bar here for that. I think you can drift. It's the last time I watched it recently, you do find yourself on your phone. And you're like, why did I come on my phone? I've come on here to do something. Was I checking emails? Was I texting my friend? No, I was just bored. Okay, better tune back in again. It's one of those, isn't it? So.
But maybe that's why it jumps around so much, because it's to keep you. I suppose if you don't, but I was just wondering whether that's why they did it, because at certain points people got really bored that they thought, maybe we'll just change it on the end.
I like that you're spinning a negative into a positive, Ben. That's your best attribute, but it's still going to be a 1.
Helen,
1 for me.
Wow.
Engagement? No, I give it 3.5. Yeah, I mean it's a mess. But it's not boring, I guess, and it's fine. It's a bit long, but yeah, 3.5. It's fine.
Nice.
It didn't make me want to switch off. I kind of stuck with it until the end.
This is the kind of film I put on when I don't really need to pay attention to stuff. So you can, like I say, side eye it, or you can small screen and be, checking other things at the same time. But that doesn't mean you're not kind of keeping on top of things, because I think some things do pass you by if you're not paying it. If you're not engaged somewhat. So I'm going to give it 2.5, I think, and that gives us an overall score of 3.23750.
Wow.
Not bad. Not great. Not bad. Guys, can we sign off by letting us know where we can find you online, and we'll say goodbye to all the listeners.
Yes, indeedy. Thank you very much for having us. Sorry we've just poo-pooed this film, but loved it and poo-pooed it at the same time.
Yeah.
Quite confused myself.
I think you need films like this.
Yeah, it's true.
It's
nice to have a fight about something these days. Thank you very much. We can be found at www.soda.co.uk. If you need sound design in your film, we are the people for it.
Yes,
Our
definitely.
monsters will be great.
Yeah. Thanks ever so much. Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Cheers. Thank you very
Thanks so much for coming on,
Thank you.
guys. Bye.
Thank you. See you soon. Cheers. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Enjoyed this episode of Flixwatcher podcast? Why not leave us a 5-star review on iTunes? You can also follow us at FlixWatcherPod on Twitter, and we're at FlixWatcher on Instagram. Thanks as always to the mighty people for their mighty tunes, and Ben from Rockwood Audio for his awesome editing skills. If you're looking to get your podcast edited as sweet as this, get in touch with Ben, and that's Rockwood, ROKK Wood Audio. Tell him Flixwatcher sent you.
You just heard a Stripped Media production.